भद्रं कर्णैभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागं सस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Let us pray together. We offer our salutations to the all-loving being who endows all beings with consciousness. We meditate on the Lord, who is the origin of the universe. Lord, Thou abidest in all, Thou art all, Thou assumest all forms, Thou art the origin and goal of all, Thou art the self of all, Thou art existence, knowledge, and bliss. Salutations unto Thee. May the world be peaceful. May the wicked become gentle. May all creatures think of mutual welfare. May their minds be occupied with what is spiritual and abiding. May our hearts be immersed in selfless love for the Lord. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. Let us pray for the victims of a natural disaster that struck United States yesterday, with hundreds of deaths still not known. How many would be there due to those big tornadoes? It is told that it is worst such disasters in the known history of United States. Such big tornadoes were never seen or observed before. So let us pray for them who have been suffering because of that. It is humanity is a common ground of all of us. Let us feel this as a family together, and let us pray for that, and let us try to help them in every way that we can. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityormam Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Lead us from the unreal, impermanent to the permanent that is real. Let us move from the ignorance, the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge. Let us move from this mortal, limited existence to the true, unlimited existence. Om, peace, peace, peace. I'll be reciting the prayer with which I began today's discussion. It is very relevant to today's topic. Om Bhadram Karnaibhi Shrunuyam Devaha Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiryajatraha Sthirairangai Stuštuvagam Sastanubhihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May we, O gods, hear what is auspicious with our ears. May we see with our eyes what is auspicious. May we think of all the good things, auspicious things by our minds, and let our life be spent in realization of the Almighty Divine Principle. Om, peace, peace, peace. There is observed a common tendency in all of human beings, less or more, to find faults with others. We all understand that it is a thankless job. Nobody really is there paying us to do this work. And we complain that we don't get enough time to do what is necessary. And yet we have, it seems, have ample time to spend in this endeavor of finding faults of others. It is certainly denounced by the sages who try to guide us in the right direction, that this is tremendously detrimental to our, let alone the highest march towards the highest spiritual goal, but even to our day-to-day life. This is detrimental, because does it bring us friends or enemies? Obviously, this does not bring us friends. Does it bring us peace? No. And we see that those faults that we see in others and criticize them for that, they start entering us. This is a psychological truth, friends. When I see faults in somebody, what happens? I'm meditating on them, isn't it? I'm thinking about them, I am meditating on them, and what I meditate on starts coming to me. That is why we should be meditating on God, so that God comes to us. But when we think about the faults of others, we meditate on those faults. Not consciously, unconsciously. We don't sit in a Buddha position and say, let me meditate on the faults of others. Nobody does that. But this non-deliberate, unconscious meditation is more powerful. And thus we get the faults of others, thinking faults of others. It is like somebody, I used to, not just me, but many of us used to criticize the language of one novice who had come to order from another place, he had rudimentary knowledge of the language, Marathi language. And he used to speak it more or less, it was good, but some of his ways of speaking were funny and not correct. So when we would see him, we would make fun of him, pronouncing or saying things the way he says. And then he once said, "Hey, remember, if you keep on criticizing me like this, one day you will start speaking like me, remember?" And lo and behold, one day I spoke like him, because I was thinking like that and it came to me. So that is what happens when we criticize others, find faults of others. Finding faults of others is not a good thing, we understand, but we find it difficult to stop. There is the reason for it, a psychological reason that Vedanta looks at. Why do we find faults of others? Vedanta sees that all these common tendencies that we have in life, they have a root, a deep root in the truth that God alone is real. Vedanta says that God is the Self. Atmai Vedam Sarvam, the Self is all that is. That truth has the roots in this finding faults of others. This root of finding faults lies in this awareness, this truth which we are not aware of, but this truth that gets expressed in a way that when we find faults of others, how? It is, we do not like other, it is, I find fault in other, means I don't like other. The other is not in a way tolerated. It is, you see, defects there. And the reason is there is no other. There is nothing but self. And so, this division, this partition, I and the world, somehow pricks us. Somehow it shows that it is not proper to have this division, and so it automatically leads that the others are having faults, others are having defects. No other, I alone am. Then there is no fault to be found with others because there are no others. So this is one that way to look at it. Why is there this tendency of finding faults of others? That there is actually, in truth, there being no other. Kathopanishad describes it as neha nanasti kinchana. And this is to be embedded, this idea has to be powerfully embedded in our mind. So it says that manase vedam aptavyam, by mind alone, it has to be appreciated that there is no other, there is no multiplicity. The self manifests as all. And when we don't see it like that, there is this division. I and the other. And the for realizing the truth, that other needs to be eliminated. But the wrong way of doing it, the right way of doing it is to feel the same self everywhere. Try that. But the wrong way of it is this, that others have faults, others have so many defects. It gets somehow quickly seen. So that is one aspect, one psychological aspect of this, that we do not like that other thing. The other somehow pricks us. This is also because of the fact that all our bliss is in the appreciation of the truth of the self alone is. And therefore we have desires about other things. Whatever other thing is seen, we as it were go to swallow it. We have the likes and desires for that, and what we like and have desires for, it gets assimilated in us. We love it. Like Charlie loves ice cream. Means what? The ice cream and Charlie become one, The ice cream, as long as it is separate, he doesn't feel satisfied. When he goes and makes the ice cream united into himself, then there is the liking for that. Yes, I like this. The ice cream or whatever that gets now becomes a part of you. It is now not out but with you. So similarly with the seeing the faults of others, the idea is this, that other means it has to have faults, that other has to be eliminated, because you want that the truth should shine, that the self alone is. So it is therefore wherever the other, the tendency is there to find the fault. The other psychological reason for this, that fault finding, is that others become mirrors for us. That is, where do you find fault in yours? Something that needs to be corrected, you go stand in front of the mirror and then see that your hair needs some mending, your dress is not proper. So the others are become like mirrors. So what happens is, all my defects get reflected in them. So I start seeing those in others. The point is here that when you stand in front of the mirror, you do not do that foolishness to try to correct it in the mirror. You do not take the hair, that brush, and start moving on the hair that you see in the mirror. You know that that is not the way. You have to correct yourself. Means not on the reflection, but on your own head you move the brush, and there it gets all right, and in the mirror also then it gets all right. And that is, but since we are not aware when we see others that it is the reflection of the self, in all these I see the defect is there, and Maya, the nations, it makes us feel that it is all real. It is the reflection. There is a beautiful hymn by Shankaracharya titled Dakshinamurti Stotram. It begins like that: this whole universe is really a reflection in the mirror. Vishwam darpana drishyamana nagari tulyam nijantargatam pashyan atmane mayaya bahirivodbhutam. So, although it is Pashyan Atmani Mayaya Bahiriva, it is, although it is here, it is seen as it were out there. This whole universe is the self seen in the mirror of Maya. It is the mirror that is in which the self is reflected as all this. It is all actually self. Just as when one stands in front of the mirror, what is seen there is not there but here. So, similarly, the whole universe actually is the self that is seen in all these multiple images. It is self alone. Pashyan Atmani Mayaya Iva Bahir. The words are very beautiful. That because of this Maya, these nations, the self is being perceived as if it is outside. Although we don't believe that it is outside. When we stand in front of the mirror, it is a conscious activity that, okay, let me look at this. And then you see that, yes, there is a smear on your face that needs to be wiped, and so forth. So, that happens when you go consciously in front of the mirror. But when you are not conscious of it, it is seen as if you are being seen, but as if something else, somebody else. There are sometimes you are taken to a mirror house. You enter consciously, but actually it becomes so scary if those mirrors are arranged in such a way. There are some very concave, some convex, some these twisted. So you enter and start seeing very scary figures all around you. And if you, let me get out of fear fast. These all demons may just kill me. But they are all reflections of this who entered there. One knows, and yet one doesn't know, get fooled by all that is being seen there. So, it is seen as if outside. And it is also, as an example, that a verse says that like in the dream, yatha nidraya, in the dream, you see all sorts of different things, the different world, different people. You see yourself also in the dream as one of the objects there. All is objects seen. Even the so-called subject in the dream, one who is experienced, is actually an object in the compared to the waking state. it is an object. All that has become now, what is that? The mind has taken all different forms. It is all within, but a space time gets projected. One eye gets projected, and then that eye interacts with so many things, so many people. Well, yes, travels all over on funny vehicles. All that is happening, but it is all you yourself. There was nobody there. It is not that so many people came when you were sleeping, and it is all you who got, uh, reflected like this. So, to emphasize this on our mind is very useful, that all that I see is this self alone. When that awareness is gone, then this finding fault begins. And then there is the uh, important reason of for that impression formation. We form quickly the impressions which has the tendency to repeat themselves. The impression is like a seed, and so it sprouts to give the same that tree again from which the seed has come. So the same actions keep on happening. Those who are, for example, uh, play that double drum, that tabla, now, even when they have trained themselves to move the fingers in a particular way, they do practice. And so, even when they are not doing it, when they are not conscious of it, still you see that their fingers are playing, doing like this. It is because of the impressions. So, we get this impression of seeing fault in others, and then it keeps on repeating. It becomes a habit, it becomes a pleasurable pastime. There is that story that there was a club of women in a particular that colony. It is the story of those days when normally women wouldn't go out for work. So they didn't have much to do, so they would come together in a club and would have chit chat, discussions, and all that. And then they saw that things are not very funny, enthusiastic. It is kind of boring. So one of them devised a trick that every time one of them will be abstaining from the meeting. So what happened was, then immediately the discussions the meetings became very lively. Why? Because the one who was absent, everybody had the scope to criticize her now, find faults with her. She is like that. Ugh, I don't even want to start that. It is, so it starts, that is how I see that, oh, don't start means start actually. That is in Maya, the meanings become different. So, you say don't start means actually an invitation to start. So, oh, about her, don't even start, means then everybody starts. So, and then the discussions became lively because that is a favorite pastime. If you don't have much to do, then okay, criticize somebody, find faults with somebody. So, that because of habit, now you want that, a scope for that. So this habit gets ingrained to find faults with others by doing these things. So, therefore, it occupies the whole life. The psychology, as we saw, of this fault finding is this fictitious division between I and the others. This division, Vedanta says, is fictitious, born out of ignorance. Actually, I alone am all that. It is nothing but I. It is so. Then there is no fault finding. There is this truth when it dawns, then everything is perfect. So, this is how the idea is that as soon as you see the division, then the others, that is not right, and therefore the faults are found there. The truth, it is against truth to see the other. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that a yogi attains to that stage where everything is in Atma Upamyena Sarvatra Samam Pashyati Arjuna. Hey Arjuna, that sees that the same self is manifested in various forms. So, sees that sameness, and so cannot find faults with others. Ishavasya Upanishad also says this, that when a person sees the same Atman all around, how can that person hate others? There is no others. Shankaracharya there in the commentary describes that nobody actually hates oneself. It is the others who are hated, not liked. It is, and when there are no others, all is the self manifested, then that fault finding has no scope. But otherwise, this fault finding is because of this fictitious division of I and world. This, therefore, is the reason, the Vedantic reason, that we keep on looking at others and see defects there. As the popular saying goes, actually they are my defects. So they say when you are pointing finger to somebody, then you are actually one finger to other, three fingers to yourself. So they are your defects, which are seen as it were in that person. So it is, you see it, it becomes a common habit. One gentleman told just a couple of days ago, a very nice thing, that to err is human, but to put that blame on other is more human. It is to err is human, but to blame somebody else for that is more human. It is that we do it, and the psychology of that is based on this. The truth, it is against the truth that to have this division. And therefore, when we see this division, I and the world, the subject and the object, the me and the others, the defect finding, the fault finding is very difficult to stop. The others are just the mirrors. I am seeing my reflection in all of these. So this being the case, all the efforts uh, to remove this tendency is to eradicate this separation, this unreal the perception of the reality. There is no break in it, as the Mandukya Upanishad declares that it is uh, all a homogeneous oneness. There is no break in that. And it is uh, peace itself. Shantam, Shivam, Advaitam, that it is peace itself. It is auspiciousness itself. It is non-dual. There is no subject-object break in that reality, the truth. So this is how one should try to see whenever we are seeing other. Whenever we are seeing other, it is a mistake. It is not right. It is I that is being seen as that person. Another form, that's all. It is another, just as this form. It is as long as it is mine, I say, okay, yeah, it is nothing so bad, it is good. But when it is other, then the fault finding begins. It is, once it so happened that one boy in a dorm used to do a lot of mischiefs and all that. So, and the director there thought how to now make this person do the right things. He was very considerate person, that how we don't want to criticize and blame and punish that fellow, that it is. So, he started talking with many other boys there. He also, this boy who used to play mischief was also present amongst them, that it is, and said that, is it right to do this thing? What do you think? And he would ask that boy, what do you think? If somebody does like this, is it right? And the boy, no, it is not right. And then if somebody does like this, is it right? No, it is not right. Will you do like this? No, I will not do like this. Have you done like this? He could not say no. Yes, I have done this. So, this fault finding, this of others, when it comes to you, you see that I have done all these things. So, that would stop us from blaming others. Once one very nice devotee told me that whenever you are wronged by someone, you may get angry, but just pause and think that, have you not done some such things in your life earlier? Have you not done it? And then the anger will subside, because you will realize that you also have committed such blunders, if not bigger ones, in your life. So it subsides there. And when this forgiveness happens because of that, oh, I also had done like this. So forgiveness happens. In Christianity, in Vedanta also, but in Vedanta it is considered as a very important virtue to be practiced called kshama, forbearance, forgiveness. In Christianity, there is a lot of emphasis on this virtue that forgive the trespasses of others. In Sermon on the Mount, this idea comes very prominently. Forgive the faults of others. What happens thereby? It helps us to see the oneness. We become more conscious of this and that as a very similar one, and thus the fault finding of that becomes is taken in a different way, that I too have these problems with me. In fact, I have more than there, so I have to correct myself. Unconsciously, the mirror action happens there. Just as when you see that there is a smear that on your face seen in the mirror, you do not try to wipe the mirror. You know that it is to be removed from your face. So, that other becomes now, because of this sympathy, this attitude, this considering and forbearing the faults of others, that it is in me as well. So, let me correct it. So, this effort makes us go towards this truth where this subject-object line, I and the word line, start getting blurred towards the process of elimination of it. We gradually will be able to eliminate it, and then there will be no other to find fault with. It is thus you see that we can eliminate this fault finding by eliminating the cause of it, and that cause being that there is actually no others. The others are seen to have defects. So when we see the defects in others, the reason is that we have those defects in us actually. Swami Vivekananda says that if there is no thief in me, I will not be able to see any thief outside. I can see thief in others because there is a thief in me. So otherwise there is no such idea that there is a thief. It is something is mine, and so then there is a thief that takes it. So this is possible if because I have a thief in me. So I see something outside, like seeing in the mirror. So it sounds somewhat, unbelievably, not true, that untrue. You mean that I see that fellow is a thief? Do you mean to say that, so I am a thief? Not directly in that incident, but yes, the perception of theft is possible because you have that in you. Without that, I will not be able to think that. So I have that thief, so I see the theft there. It is the tendency to commit follies is there in me, and so I see it reflected all over how bad other people are. There is another psychological reason to find faults in others. It is strange, but that is how it happens, and we see it very loudly proclaimed that when you are afraid that you will be faulted for what something has happened, you did it, you are responsible for it. It is there was a job and available, and a person had applied for that job, and the person went for the interview with so many others, and then those who were conducting the interview for that person saw that this person is not very capable, inefficient, lacks that care and caution it is. And so they told in the very polite, nice way, sorry, but for this job we need a very responsible person. And then that person said, oh, then I am the most suitable candidate. Because, at home or anywhere something goes wrong, then everybody says, you are responsible. So I am responsible. Otherwise, so many people say you are responsible. So this is just a light moment. But the idea is that to avoid being found fault with, we paint others with worse colors. That it is once a devotee here, I don't want to give the name, not necessary also, but saw that the blame of something is likely to come to me, and immediately, for no reason, she started saying, look what this fellow did, what this fellow did, what this fellow did, what this fellow did, how that person behaves. So, but what is the reason for all this? But was not stopping at all, impossible to stop. The reason was that if already you find faults with others, you remain kind of safe. Attack is the best way of defense, So paint everybody in dark those colors, so that on that background you look better than them. So that is one way of becoming better, paint others as much worse, terrible. And in comparison, then you look shining amongst them, wonderful, I am so good. It is, there was a village, and I have been in such places, friends. Tremendous water scarcity, not water enough even to drink. So what to speak of water for other things, washing the clothes and so forth, no water at all. So what the people used to do, they would have, say, 2 dresses. They would put one for 2 weeks, and then would look dirty and all. Then they would take out and put another one. And then they would wear it for 4 weeks. Now, in comparison to this, the other looks better. Wow, that looks better. So they would put on that. So it is we want to keep ourselves clean, I am clean, I am good. So show that, look how dirty that others are. So that is another psychological reason to show that all that faults with others. You see that in political debates very often, that to show that others have so many problems, is the blame gets deflected on them, and in comparison then you look better. So this is another reason why one goes to find faults, and that is the reason, as many but most powerfully pointed out by Holy Mother, that a very simple dictum, very simple and so efficient, it is not possible at all. You know that anybody applying this principle would find that it doesn't work. It definitely works. If we want to find peace, and this is, imagine, this is the last advice, the last words spoken, coming out from the mouth of Holy Mother, who is with such pure character. The hymn for Holy Mother says that she is purity itself. So she says that, oh dear, if you want peace, are we in that position? Do we want peace? What, Arohi, do you want peace? No? Yes. Nobody, probably, I am sure nobody is here who says, no, I don't want peace. All of us want peace. And what we need to do is very simple thing. Holy Mother says, do not find faults of others. And then you will get peace. Find faults of oneself. It is, do not find faults of others. We recite this thing many times, especially when there is a large number of people who will be taking food together, meals together. We recite this part that let me not find faults of others, but try to find my own faults. It is that Holy Mother's advice. So, and it is 100% efficacious. Immediately, one feels peace. See the fault of others. Nothing happens to that fellow whose fault I am finding, but my peace gets destroyed. It is the reason that we become so disturbed in life by seeing the faults of others. You can see that when I am angry with somebody, because that person did like this, so many faults are seen, and by thinking I am multiplying those there, that always that person might have done it once or twice, what I immediately generalize it for that person. The fellow always does like that. And then keep on reverberating all those things in the head till the peace is nowhere there. All peace is gone. It appears on the face, that all the disturbance gets rid on the face. Otherwise the person is nice to look at, very good person, but when the person is full of anger, you see that all the disturbance in the head is written on the face. The face becomes all, there is a repulsiveness in that face. You don't want to approach that person. It is not that the anatomy actually changes, but it is, you can see the writing, that on the face, that it is all disturbance, no peace at all. So And when we don't do it, it is a science, experimental science. Stop seeing faults of others, and yeah, the mind becomes peaceful. It is for the time that I am not seeing faults of others, uh, one can experience this actually, that we become full of peace. So, this is a matter of practice. In Patanjali's yoga aphorisms, it is said that when the defects of others are bothering you, and what it does, the concentration is gone. You are sitting in meditation to thinking of concentrating on self, on God. You sit in front of some image on which you want to concentrate. Try to feel that image, that divine in you. But the thoughts are all disturbed because the thinking is about the faults of others. It happens. So, the antidote Patanjali tells, Patanjali, probably the greatest psychologist that I can think of, says, Vitarka badhane pratipaksha bhavanam, a very important aphorism, that do the reverse processing, put a reverse process in operation. That is, if you are seeing the defects of others and that is disturbing you, remember, it is, do I like being disturbed? No, I don't. I want to be peace. We all said we want peace. So when somebody is that defects, that perceived defects are causing that disturbance in me, whose problem is it? It is not that person's problem. It is the problem of my perception. So, because I am getting disturbed, that is my problem. And so, what is to be done? Reverse. Start seeing deliberately good things in that person. And we will find plenty. There is nobody in this world who is completely devoid of any good thing. There is something or the others. I told you the story of the teacher who was telling in the primary school that one should learn, to see good in everyone. And then one child asked, "How can we see good in a devil?" A good question. How can I see good in a devil? The teacher also thought for a moment, but was very intelligent and gave the reply, well, the devil is good at what he does. So take that, take that goodness. So it is, we will find plenty of good things in others to think about. So by seeing the defects in others, I am losing peace. And so Patanjali says, Pratipaksha bhavanam, that see that opposite thing to eliminate this, that see the good things about that person, and immediately one will be able to see the effect. That like if you have high BP, blood pressure has gone high, then you will be given a medication to bring it down. So it is, if your blood pressure is normal, you don't require it. But if your blood pressure is high, then you need something to bring it down. So when there is this other person's perceived defects are causing all sorts of restlessness in me, my peace is gone, then What one should be doing, Yona? Think of the good things. Think of the good things. For my own sake, For my own sake, I should be seeing good things about others. And it works like anything. I have experienced it. That the anger goes down, the disturbance goes down immediately. So, this is what Patanjali, the great psychologist, I feel that all therapists, they should study this Patanjali's yoga aphorisms. Their therapy will become much better by studying those ideas. So, and this is what is taught in all different faiths. I was telling about Christianity, that you are seeing the defects instead of that, and that is bringing anger. So, put love there, which is justified because that also is the, the creation of God. That person also is created by God. So, by criticizing or finding defects in that person, are you not becoming blasphemous that God did such a big mistake? So, therefore, spread the idea of love. I will be quoting a paragraph to end this talk. This is from the great book that I keep on reading again and again, Imitation of Christ by Thomas A. Kempis. And let me quote: try to bear patiently with the defects and infirmities of others, whatever they may be, because you also have many a fault which others must endure. If you cannot make yourself what you would wish to be, how can you bend others to your will? That you want to see everybody else perfect. What about you? Are you so? No. After joining as a novice in our order, I started seeing the faults of so many others there. This fellow is not actually living an ideal life. This person is doing this thing wrong. And this fellow seems to be too frivolous. And so I said to one senior Swami, look, it is, this is all imperfect people, this is. So he smiled and asked me, are you perfect? Are you perfect? So let us ask this question to ourselves. It is, and I am skipping some part to make it brief, that consider it thus, perhaps to try your patience and to test you, for without such patience and trial, your merits are of little account. All these things are there to see how patient we are. There has to be a test, No, I am a very forbearing and patient person. Let us put it to test, So therefore, these people are there to think of it as for you to test it. You test yourself. And so you will know how patient and forbearing I am. So do it. If after being admonished once or twice a person does not amend, do not argue with him, but commit the whole matter to God, that His will and honor may be furthered in all His servants. Pray. Pray. Do not get disturbed. I have so many defects, that person also has. Pray for that. Love is a mighty power. a great and complete good. Love alone lightens every burden and makes the rough places smooth. It bears every hardship as though it were nothing and renders all bitterness sweet and acceptable. See how beautiful these words are, and their efficacy is just 100%. The love of Jesus is noble and inspires us to great deeds. It moves us along always to desire perfection. Love aspires to high things and is held back by a nothing base. Love longs to be free, a stranger to every worldly desire. Love is stranger to every worldly desire. There is, when I desire something, what gets killed, what gets pushed away is love. So, it is, nothing is sweeter than love, nothing stronger, nothing higher, nothing wider, nothing more pleasant, nothing fuller or better in heaven or earth, for love is born of God and can rest only in God above all created things. So, spreading this love will remove this fault-finding idea. I have seen many people, it is not that this is only ideal, that nobody can reach there. I have seen many that who, because of the love of God that they feel, they do not find faults of others with the idea of criticizing or putting them down. No, they don't see the faults of others at all. So let us practice towards that. Whenever there is a perception of defect in somebody, let us bring love there. Whenever we see that that other fellow is wrong, try to remove the other. Let me put myself in that person's shoes and see how I would be doing it. So that will be a great idea, friends, to try and see how nicely it works. So thank you, friends. Today is Swami Premananda's birthday. But anyway, we will take a few quick questions if they are there. Any question?
There is a web question, Maharaj.
There is a web question. Okay, first there is Richard. Let him ask. Yeah, because it will get heard on the web. That is why this
I'm on the
arrangement.
air. Well, it seems if you believe there's something called a Big Bang, 13.6 billion years ago, I mean, my being as a body, as a whatever entity, is impossible. The fact that my genetic material and everyone in this room made it through and are sitting here is, wow, these are incredible people.
Of course.
So I would congratulate you all for
good,
being cosmic. But every day we are kind of orbiting in space somewhere. You go, oh my God, that's amazing. It's not like going to Boston. It's out there, and I think it's out there. But frankly, the only way out is to go within.
That is
it's really
true.
weird, but
Go within, and all this comes, merges in within. That is how we should approach it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but you could never, ever understand what the universe is. The physics of it, impossible.
Well, that is true. It is not possible to understand the ultimate cause by physics. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
This, he is asking, Abhishek.
Who?
All right, so by this logic, all the criminals, the molesters, everyone should be left scot-free because, again, and I do not want to feel oneness with them. And but I think you answered it a little bit that at that point it's not I don't know how to put it, you have to say. And in that case also, we have to show love and we have to only see the goodness in that, but I cannot find a goodness in that kind of behavior, and then we should let them be. So there should not be any criminal justice in this world.
Well, I was expecting some such question, that it is, what about all the criminals? Should they not be put behind the bars? No, they should be, but should be done lovingly. That, okay, actually, if you say you don't want to get identified with them, but we are in it together. It is when you actually connect to them, you see that there are more criminals outside the prisons than inside. And many of them were the causes of the crimes that those inside have committed. So before putting all blame on them, we should think of this fact also. So that is also there. I don't say that there should be no criminal justice. There should be the justice, but the laws should be more embracing, and therefore the prisons are called correction facilities. That there should be the consideration that, well, there must be something that prompted that kind of action. And there is that idea that the others have not committed crimes because they are not behind the bars. That is also not correct. It is so we have to see it with a broader vision. Thank you. Any web question? Oh, Vailuko has a question.
You mentioned how Holy Mother talked about seeing the fault within yourself instead of others. Did she give any advice on what to do when you find faults within yourself to overcome them?
Oh, well, automatically there will be the corrective measures. When you find the fault in you, then you automatically have the measure to correct it. The good thing about it is that you can apply corrective to yourself. You cannot apply corrective to others. It is, you have no control over there. So when you see the fault in you, you have a semblance of chance. I am using semblance because it may be difficult to remove the fault in you because old habits and so forth. But at least you have a chance. You don't stand that chance with others. You cannot change the thoughts of others. Therefore, that is when you see that it is your fault. Nobody likes, to have dirt on oneself. You immediately try to correct it. So that doesn't. There are ways that they have been suggested in Holy Mother's life, like constantly take the name of God, think about God, the purifier, be engaged in work. She says the work purifies you. If done in an unselfish way, unselfish work is the great purifier. So these methods also have been told by her. Any web question?
Yes, Maharaj, there are two web questions. D.L. Muthukrishnan Ramachandran. Are teaching ethics to others also a form of fault finding?
Well, if it is taught only to others, that, okay, you have to do it, then of course it is fault finding, but not otherwise. If it is the matter of all of us, we have to understand these ideas of ethics, then certainly it is not fault finding in others, but trying to see what defects are in us as together. So it is not of that category.
The next one, Jyoti Champanerkar. Pranam Swamiji. There no hope to fall. There no hope to fully get over the habit of fault finding till we have complete realization.
In a way, yes, because as long as there is this difference, I and the world, there will be the tendency to fault finding. But then this corrective is to be always applied, that bring love wherever you see that fault. Instead of thinking of that fault, try to see the good things which are plentifully there. One example that I had given long back in a different context, this was that in our high school class, one teacher told this great principle, this idea, and I am using that to a great effect. That, well, there are so many bad things also that are in all these people who have big name in the world. They are presidents, this, that, but there are certain bad things also associated with them. He said that, look, in your home there is a latrine, isn't it? Yes, latrine is needed in a home, yeah. Do you always, all the time sit in the latrine? You sit in a better place. So use that see the good things in others. Whatever you think, you will imbibe those. So therefore, the point is that try to see the good. It is, you are perfectly right that till this God realization, and there will be a tendency there for fault finding, but by habit, by constant practice, this tendency will not get a chance to bring its hood out. That will be there. Thank you. So, we shall conclude with the closing prayers. Next week, the Sunday lecture will be on the epistles of Apostle Paul. So some of the epistles will be taken up for the discussion coming Sunday, that is December 19th. And the Tuesday, Friday classes at 7:30 p.m. will go on as usual. Also, the Holy Mother's birthday and Christmas Eve on 24th, and Holy Mother's birthday on 26th, they are approaching, and we will celebrate them in an appropriate way. So you will see in our newsletter the information about these. May the Divine, who is Father in heaven of the Christians, Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Taoists, Great Spirit of the Native Americans, Ahura Mazda of the Zoroastrians, and Brahman of the Hindus lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the all-loving being manifest himself unto us and grant us abiding understanding and all-consuming divine love. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. There are some tangerines kept out here for you all to take. It is, please feel free to take those tangerines. And there is the, now the Arati, and there will be actually, being Swami Premananda's birthday, there will be birthday song after that, and a reading of the short biography of Swami Premananda. Thank you.
जय श्री गुरु महाराज जी की जय। Auspicious and blessed, graciousness sublime, all noble ends you give to us, granting us refuge, all-seeing Gauri, O Mother Divine, our love to creation, preservation, dissolution are your powers, eternal one, nature's real basis, nature's essence. O Mother Divine, our love to we come seeking refuge from anguish. Be our Savior through your deep concern. All our suffering remove, Goddess. O Mother Divine, our love to victory. O Mother Divine, our love to blessed Mother Divine, our love to you. Blessed Mother Divine, our love to you. Blessed Mother Divine, our love to जय श्री राम कृष्ण देव की जय। जय श्री शारदा देवी की जय। जय श्री स्वामी विवेकानंद की जय। जय श्री बुद्ध देव की जय। जय श्री जीसस क्राइस्ट की जय। जय श्री स्वामी प्रेमानंद की जय। जय शिवानन्द जय लीला सहचर योगी योगानन्द जय नित्यनिरञ्जन जय शशि गुरुपदे गततनुमान जय जय राम कृष्ण भुवन मंगल सेवा पर योगी वर अद्भुत आनंद अभेद आनंद जय गत मोहबंध योगरत त्याग व्रत तुरीय आख्यात शरत सुधीर शांत जैन गणनाथ जीवे शिव सेवा व्रत गंगाधर वीर जय श्री विद्यानानंद प्रशांत गंभीर प्रधान गोपाल मातृ सेवा परायण शारदा शारदा पदे गत प्राणमन जय जय राम कृष्ण भुवन मंगल बालक चरित्र जय सुबोध सरल नागवर त्याग वीर विवेक संबाल कथामृत वरीषण गौर जलधार गिरीश भैरव जय विश्वास आकार राम कृष्ण दास दास जय सबाकार राम कृष्ण लीला स्थान जय बारंबार राम कृष्ण नाम जय श्रवण मंगल भगत वंचित जय चरण कमल जय जय राम कृष्ण भुवन मंगल जय जय राम कृष्ण भुवन मंगल
Birth anniversary of Swami Premananda. A short biographical sketch of Swami Premananda. Birth name Baburam Ghosh. Monastic name meaning ecstatic love, bliss of divine love. Birthplace village of Antpur, Hooghly district, Bengal. Birth date December 10th, 1861. Lunar calendar 9th day after new moon, Margashish. Education village school, then Banga Vidyalaya and Aryan School, Calcutta, then Champukar Metropolitan Institute, M as headmaster and Rakhal as classmate. Religious influence, both parents very devout. Sister married to Balram Bose, who brought them to visit Sri Ramakrishna when Baba Ram was young. First meeting with Sri Ramakrishna. Saw Sri Ramakrishna at a Hari Sabha at Jorashanko, unaware of who he was. Then on April 8th, 1882. Baburam Ghosh was born in a devout aristocratic family. He had two brothers and one older sister who married Balram Bose, a devotee of Sri Ramakrishna. From childhood, Baburam would not tolerate mention of marriage, saying, "Don't mention that, I would die." He would imagine being in a hut in a wooded place, meditating on God. Both his parents had an opportunity to meet Sri Ramakrishna, and his father, knowing of his religious inclination, suggested that Babaram visit the saint of Dakshineshwar someday. His first visit with Sri Ramakrishna was with Rakhal, Brahmananda, and a friend, Ram Dayal Babu. He stayed overnight and heard Sri Ramakrishna's yearning and love for Narendra, Vivekananda. When he walked around the Panchavati, Baburam was astonished that the grove matched the place of his childhood dreams. Sri Ramakrishna recognized that Baburam was incarnated as partial Radha, Krishna's consort, as totally pure to the marrow of his bones, a Nitya Siddha, ever perfect, and an Ishwar Koti, godlike soul. For this reason, Baburam was asked to be Sri Ramakrishna's attendant. Baba Ram became Sri Ramakrishna's Daradi, the companion of his soul. Sri Ramakrishna asked Baba Ram's mother if he could keep Baburam with him, and she agreed, asking only that her devotion for God never waver, and that her children not die before her. After Sri Ramakrishna's Mahasamadhi, Baburam visited his parents' home in Calcutta and then joined the monastery. His mother invited all the disciples to visit her village home in Antpur. During one cold evening, Narendra told the story of Jesus, focusing on his life of renunciation. All of them then took the vow of renunciation in front of the Dhuni fire. Later they found out that it was Christmas Eve and considered it propitious timing. Baburam later, with other disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, took monastic vows and became Swami Premananda. Swami Premananda travelled to various pilgrimage places. Amongst them was Barsana, the birthplace of Radha. He stayed there for a month and a half. After Ramakrishnananda went to Madras in 1897, Swami Premananda assumed the responsibilities of performing the worship services at Belur Mutt, the main shrine of the Ramakrishna order. He also became a trustee of Belur Mutt in 1899. In these early days, Swami Premananda suffered various rebukes from Swami Vivekananda, who would soon become remorseful and tearful at scolding the Radha of Ramakrishna. On Vivekananda's last living day, he told Premananda where to cremate him on the Ganges and discussed establishing a Vedic college. On wondering why, Swami Vivekananda replied that studying the Vedas will kill superstition. Swami Premananda received two instructions from Vivekananda. One, to manage Belur Mutt, the Ramakrishna headquarters, and two, not to initiate anyone. Apart from the worship service, Swami Premananda trained the monks, entertained the devotees and visitors, supervised the kitchen, dairy, and gardens, cared for the sick monks, collected money for the monastery maintenance, and occasionally lectured. He taught practical Vedanta, how to blend work and worship in daily life. He insisted on the perfection of manifestation within all in their strivings, and taught to exhibit equal sense of reverence and sanctity in one's heart. He was the embodiment of service and taught that service to the master and to the devotees are the same. He had a loving and magnetic personality that attracted many people to Belur Mutt. One monk's brother, who had fallen under the influence of addictions, was visited by Premananda, who asked him to come visit him at Belur Mutt when possible. Gradually, this man's behavior changed, and eventually, this man joined the order as a monk. He was the embodiment of humility, patience, forbearance, forgiveness, purity, love, and renunciation. He was the loving mother as well as the chastising disciplinarian father figure at Belur Mutt. Although very feelingful, he was not emotional nor sentimental, other than when God intoxicated. Always take as much care of the means as of the end, he used to insist. Behind every task, he felt the presence of Sri Ramakrishna. Swami Premananda was a powerful and magnetic speaker and gave talks based on experience, pointing out that religion lies in practice and not in theory. He used to go to East Bengal every year from 1913 to 1917, and thousands, both Hindus and Muslims, would appear to hear him speak. The Muslim Nawab invited Premananda to his palace. Premananda met with the royal women and told them of Sri Ramakrishna. The Nawab read Vivekananda's works, spoke with him about opening a center in Dhaka for Muslim youth, and his sister donated money for the construction of the Ramakrishna Mutt in Dhaka. At one festival in Dhaka, devotees collected money from the Hindus, but not from the Muslims, thinking that they would not be interested. But the Muslim delegation approached Premananda, asking why were they left out, and that Premananda was also their peer, that is Muslim saint. They gladly gave funds for the Hindu festival. In 1915, he was stricken with cholera, and after recovery, he went to Kamakhya, Mymensingh, and back to Dhaka to lay the foundation stone. He visited other holy places, including the homestead of Nag Mahashay, the ideal householder devotee of Sri Ramakrishna. At the 1916 annual meeting at Belur Mutt, he said that unless one has developed character, all else is in vain. One of his favorite expressions was, if you want to be a Sardar, leader, be Sardir, ready to sacrifice your head. In 1917, he contracted Kala Azar, a malignant fever that results in almost 100% mortality. Swami Premananda left his mortal frame on Tuesday, July 30th, 1918. Sarada Devi cried out. All the energy, devotion, and wisdom of Belur Mutt were embodied in Baburam. Both Brahmananda and M sobbed and said that Belur Mutt has lost its mother and that Sri Ramakrishna's love aspect has disappeared. Teachings. To follow the Master means to practice what he taught. Otherwise, nobody can advance by just offering to him a few flowers or through through some momentary sentimental outbursts. Can one become a great devotee of God simply by dancing and jumping or by quoting plentifully from the scriptures? What is wanted is freedom from selfishness, freedom from egotism. Mere talk will not do. This is an age of action. Not mere theory, actualize it. There has been enough talk and writing. Put the books aside and let your actions speak. This is what the lives of the Master and Vivekananda stand for. The poor, the weak, the fallen, the ignorant, all these you have to make your own. I warn you that in loving one section of society, you must not become hateful of the other, the rich. Salutations to Swami Premananda.